Okay, we're passing through 12,000 feet, and as you can see, we're a lot lower down and closer to the mountains. One thing we got to do is set our pressure here. We've got the updated weather of 2980. So we will set that in here. As you can see, you can preload it. It's showing up below the pressure. Now you notice where it says standard, it has gone yellow. That's because we should have set it at 18,000. We were a little bit delayed. It will do that either way if you pass the transition level and forget to do it. So we'll click that. There we go. We're descending down, and you can see our path is taking us down through this valley here, out to the flat plains of Vancouver, and through the mountains on both sides. Beautiful approach. So we're coming up for 10,000 feet now. So we'll check our cabin pressure. Cabin is depressurizing properly. Landing lights will now come on. Runway turnoff lights will come on. And we will, seatbelt signs never came off. That's good. We'll ding the cabin just to let them know that we are starting to come down. So as we are on our arrival, getting ready for our approach, we can set our, or go through our approach checklist. So nav course and frequencies are set. Our speeds are set. We have a reference of 145, and our approach speed is going to be 153. Speed brake, we'll hold off on that for a moment. And we are waiting until we get a little bit lower now. So we're still on our LNAV VNAV. These will switch over to white indicators when it starts picking up the ILS system. We've already decelerated down past 250, below 10,000. We're now going down to the 230 mark because we have to be 230 at Stave, and that's only 3.5 miles away. You can see the cloud that they were talking about, that layer. Again, some of the lakes in the upper terrain, and then this is where we're headed down here. We're going to make a turn and fly out over here in a second and come down this valley. Everything is looking good. We're down to 230 knots, so we're going to extend down to flaps 5. So speed is checked. Here's flaps 1. And we're now going to go into manual speed mode. So I'm going to hold our speed at 220 knots. I'm going to go flaps 2. If you don't do that as you start adding flaps, your speed will start slowly coming back, and we don't want that quite yet. And there's flaps 5. Engines are spooling up a little bit to deal with the increased drag. So we're going to arm our speed brake. We're just going to grab it. There we go. Speed brakes are armed. We're on our path descending. Just dial the heading around 210. So the airport is located over there. So we come out of the mountain pass now. Everything is looking very nice. So George is the intercept point for the ILS. see VOR2, the YVR VOR is indicating here. It's 28 miles away. And the ILS is now picking up at 25.7 miles away, and you can see the white indicator. That is the localizer indicator has come up. We're not at the glide slope yet. We're still way too far off the angle. But you can see the localizer is picked up, and we do have DME. And it's now giving us the IRD indicator. And if we check our chart, it is the correct indicator for that runway. So everything is good there. And terrain is no longer an issue as we leave the mountains. Ten miles out to that intercept point, we're at 5,500 feet. We are on the path. I'm going to bring our speed down to 185. Actually, we'll make it 180. That's a common one that VATSIM approach controllers give us. So we're slowing down. This is a slippery airplane, so they're below 210 knots. We can go flaps 10. Flaps 10 selected, and will help with our slowing down. There's our turn. We're now turning in towards the intercept. Glide slope indicator has now come alive. So what we're going to do is arm our approach mode. So VOR localizer is armed and glide slope is armed. And we're down to 10 miles on our primary display. We'll leave 20 miles up on the co-pilots. Airport is located over there. Speed's coming back to 180. Thousand to go. Engines are working. That's what we want to hear. Should get movement on the localizer in a second. And we have localizer movement. Approach mode is armed. There we are. We're into localizer capture. It's changed now into the magenta. We're on single channel for the landing. It's a Cat 1. That's all we need. There we go. We're 14 miles out. Still descending down to 3,000 feet. And we are below the glide slope. There's the glide slope coming down, so that's all fine. We'll level at 3,000 shortly. And then we'll be intercepting the glide slope. We can see the runway ahead of us. We have the airport in sight. She's right there, right on the coast. Cruise ship terminals are over here. So I took the cruise ship on my Alaska cruise out through the Narrows there under the bridge, and then we head off the inside passage between the mainland and Vancouver Island. Starting to level off at 3,000 feet. Glide slope coming down. Distance is 10 miles. See the vertical path is going lower, but we're holding our altitude, and there's the glide slope intercept. Start heading down. So we're going to go flaps 15, gear down. Is looking good. 2,500 feet to go. Gear down 3 green. Six miles, we'll come back on the speed. So landing lights are on, turn-off lights are on, seatbelt signs are good. Gear down 3 green, speed brake armed. Just waiting on the flaps. Cabin is ready. 6.3 miles, so we're going to come back to 153. Flaps 25. Speed coming back to ref. Once we pass through 160, we'll go flaps 30. There's 160 knots, flaps 30. So flaps are set, speed is set. We're on the glide slope and the localizer. So I usually disconnect the autopilot at 500 feet, and I will disconnect the auto throttles at about 200. Of course, if I'm in weather or really rough, I'll leave it a little bit longer. Should be good. See, we're on the path and everything is nicely lining up. A little bit of a wind pushing from the right, that's why we got that slight little crab angle on. 600 feet. 13 knot wind, slightly out of the right. Through 500. Pilot disconnected. I have control. A little bit high, we'll get the nose down slightly. There we are, back on.
Approaching minimums.
We're going to match the throttles. Landing.
100.
Autopilot disconnect.
50. 30. 20. 10.
So we're down, nose down. Auto brakes engaged, reversers on. Nice and gentle on this landing. .70 knots. Reversers off. So you can see auto brake 1 doesn't slow you down too much. I'll come off on the auto brakes now. We're actually going down to this. We're using the full 10,000 feet, which is fine. So usually I would land a minimum of auto brake 2, unless we actually wanted to go down to the end of the runway. It's always an option. But we're going to get off mic 10, and we will do our cleanup. But welcome to Vancouver. Beautiful flight today. No issues at all. Alright, so we're off the runway. So we'll bring her to a halt. Once again, we'll put on the parking brake. There we go. So flaps are going to come up. Speed brake is going to disarm. Transponder we will turn off. Position lights will now go to just steady, so that's the strobe lights are off. Landing lights will go off. Turn off lights will go off. Taxi light will go on. APU we can start up. So turn it on and hold it to start. Anti-ice not required, we weren't using it. Probe heats will come off. They can overheat if you're not flying. Engine start switches. Ideally we would have put them in continuous. I forgot, but for landing it's a critical stage. They go continuous, or if you're landing in a heavy rainstorm, you put them in continuous in case you get an engine flame out. Auto brake will now go to the off position. And we can taxi to, well, turn that off. We can taxi out to our gate. So brakes released. And let's taxi over. So we're coming up to our gate. So we're going to come up here. Our taxi light is going to go off. We're going to make sure our APU gens are running. And we're going to pull in here. Gate 67. See if we can guesstimate where we're supposed to park. I would say right about there. Alright, so let's get the brake set. And we are ready to do some of the stuff here. So we'll go over to ground services. We're going to set the chocks. Oh, the lights just flicked there. We're going to request the jetway. We're going to request our ground power. Parked a little too far forward. So, I'm not sure where this is going to go. Looks like it's heading to the back door. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to release that. Let's switch over to stairs. And we'll get the engines ready to shut down. So, is our ground power here? Our ground power is here. We can come up. Ground power is now on. So we are connected. Fuel levers will go down on both engines. Anti-collision light is off. Logo lights off. Ground equipment is coming into position as the engines wind down. Fuel pumps off. We can shut off the APU and kill the fuel pump. Isolation valve will go to open. And the flight directors will come off now that the engines have spun down. As we wait for the engines. There we go. We can request the stairs. So the stairs are arriving. We can request the passenger bus. And then we can start unloading. So there you have it, folks, flying the 737-800. Once you get through it, it's a little bit different than the A320, but it's not too bad, and it is a lot of fun to fly. It's a little bit different, but it gives you another option in the sim. Hope you've enjoyed, and if you like what you've seen here, please consider subscribing to the channel, clicking a like on the video, and joining our Discord. We live stream multiple times a week, and they're all community flights, and everyone's free to come and join us. We fly on VATSIM, we fly multiplayer, everything from small single-engine general aviation airplanes to the big airliners. So you're more than welcome to join us. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. Hope this has helped you learn the 737. We'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.